Apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is filled with God and is a book about God. Amen. So you should have in your bulletin or somewhere in on your person this thing, the sheet. You don't? You have it? Well, look at it. Okay, so this is something that a guy came to a meeting where I was a part of, and he gave a presentation on the generational differences that are happening in the workplace right now. So in every workplace, there's about 4 generations of people trying to work and live and communicate together. Okay? And you can just take a look at the challenges that this presents by some of the ones in the bold. So like work focus, if you're from a silent generation, you're focused on tasks. Baby boomer, relationships and results. Gen X, tasks and results. Next one, global networking. So all that's going on at work. Another one, work motto. This is a good one. Work first. That comes first. Live to work. Work to live. Live, then work. Right? So you got that, right? Okay, and then here's another one, work ethic. The silent generation is hardworking. Baby boomers, it says, are workaholics. Generation X says, only work as hard as needed. Now there you go. Right? And then what's in it for me is Gen Y, personal return on it. And one that didn't make the bold part, one that really stood out to me because it helps really explain my relationship with the Episcopal Church, is view of authority and leadership. So if you're a silent generation, your view of authority and leadership is hierarchical and respectful. If you're a baby boomer, it's consensus and kind of a love-hate. And this is mine, so I'm Gen X, and it's leadership by competence, and you're unimpressed and unintimidated by leaders. All right, so that explains why every time, like when the bishop would come to our church, and these silent generation people are just like freaking out, the bishop's coming, the bishop's coming. And, I'd be like, bishop. Now who's who's that? That's that guy that wears that goofy hat. That's who that is, right? So you can see how the generations in which we're born can really form the way we see one another, see life. But as helpful as this is, for helping out with stuff like that, I'm sorry you guys didn't have this, it cannot contain, it cannot define the uniqueness of each one of us as individuals, can it? Because on any given day I could see myself in any one of these sometimes. So it can't contain that. In fact, see what our tradition is going to add to the mix here, and you heard it today in the reading from Jeremiah, is our tradition is going to add to it that we're so much more than we might have ever imagined. So look at Jeremiah, okay? The reading that we had from the Old Testament. Look at that. Jeremiah's this guy, here's this guy, and here's the way I envision this happening. So he's having this powerful experience. Maybe he's in prayer, in that deep place of prayer, and he has this powerful, powerful experience of God's presence in his life. Overwhelmingly powerful. And in that experience, he intuits this. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Do you hear what he experiences? Do you hear what he intuits? That he is of God. That he is not simply his biology. He is not simply his family. He is not simply his social position. He is not his ethnicity. We can go on. He's not his generation. He is of God. And if he remembers this, he'll find the power to go out and live his life as the person he is. You see, and the thing is what's true for Jeremiah is not just true for Jeremiah. It's true for all of us. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you includes you and me. And our tradition has tried to say this over and over and over again. For me, it's the foundational statement of who we are as a people. It's foundational to our faith. This is the deal for me. Psalm 139 says it this way: you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your innermost parts were knit together by God. On the cover, if you take a look at the cover on today, I don't have it. So, there you go. So if you look at the cover, this is an ancient icon that's trying to get at this idea that we are held by Jesus prior to the womb. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. The hymn that Jason picked out, that we just sang 2 verses of, is trying to get at this. That we are of God. And that we're of ultimate value to God. Teilhard de Chardin, who's a Jesuit priest in the 1950s and 60s, he said it this way: we are not human beings having spiritual experiences. So we're not human beings that just happen to have these spiritual experiences of God's presence every now and again. We're spiritual beings trying to learn what it means to be human. Before I knew you in the womb, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. And Reggie McNeil, who came here a long time ago and preached, said it this way: God had you in mind when God created you. And then he said, and if you're not going to be you, who's going to do it? Who's going to be you if you're not you? God needs you to be you, and God needs me to be me. Because we are the work of God. Are you with me? Cool deal. Cool. So, here's what I'm going to give you the other side, though. This before you were formed in the womb, I knew you, doesn't mean that we're special or entitled. Because everybody is. But it does mean that we're unique. That you are a unique human being, and I am a unique human being, and our call in life is to live as fully and completely as the unique human being you are, and as the unique human being I am, knowing that we're never alone, and knowing that we're doing this, hopefully, in relationship to one another and with one another. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Is not just Bible speak. So here's how it's played out in my life. At least here's the way I've seen it anyway. Because we're getting pretty deep, huh? So to drag you out of the mud, here's how it's played out in me. So my father's an Episcopal priest, and I was raised in the Episcopal Church, and it's always been a big part of my life. And so when I went to be ordained, and I went to seminary and then got ordained, I thought, well, my father's my model. I need to be like him. I need to be a priest like he's a priest. I didn't consciously think that. I was just doing that. You know what I mean? Okay, so here's the rub. My dad was like totally into the national church. You know what I mean when I say the national church? Does anybody not know what I mean when I say the national church? This is very important. So yeah, the Episcopal Church has this big national body, and there's a presiding bishop and other things, and they meet and have every 3 years this thing called General Convention meets, and it's as exciting as it sounds. Sorry, I'm sorry. All right, see, it's gonna ooze out of me. This is not good. So every 3 years, General Convention meets, and General Convention meets with these two different bodies, the House of Bishops and the House of Deputies, and they vote on stuff. It's this big legislative body. And my dad loved it. He loved it so much that 3/4 of his 40 years in the priesthood, he was the logistical coordinator for one of those houses. He set it all up and did all that stuff. He'd spend 3 weeks of the summer vacation doing that. So I thought, okay, when I get out of seminary, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get up there and climb the ladder and do the General Convention thing, and that's what it meant to be a priest. And, okay, so I went there. My first, I think Cindy and I, Kaylee was a little baby, Dylan was about 2 or 3, and Miles wasn't born yet. And we went to Philadelphia for this General Convention, okay? And my dad says to me, he says, okay, what I want you to do is put on a collar and put on a suit and come to the convention area and I'll give you a job. And I was like, a collar? What? This is my day off, man. I thought this is like a vacation and you want me to wear a collar? And then it's like, and then work? What do you mean work? You know, so you had to do it. So, okay, this is what it means to be a priest. This is what it means to be a priest, right? So I go to General Convention in my suit and collar, and I walk into this place, and I tell you, man, it is like a Pisco land. It's like Disney World for people who really love the Episcopal Church. Yeah. They had everything but rides. If they could have had rides, they would have had rides. And so you're walking around and you hear conversations like, "Hey, the Lord be with you," right? And everybody knew exactly what to say, and also with you, right? You know. And then the other, or something like, "Hey, I wonder what the presiding bishop is going to do." You never hear that outside of that. Nobody ever says that outside of that room. Nobody ever says that. And so I'm standing there, and this is like, my dad is like into it. He's in his element. And I'm like, this is like pretty close to hell for me. I can't imagine anything worse than what, but it gets worse. For me, it gets worse for me. So he goes, okay, I got a job for you. You're supposed to stand in front of this door, and then people, one of the big things about the General Convention is credentials. So like you're supposed to have these credentials, and you wear them on yourself, right? If you've been, and the credentials determine where you get to go, what rooms you get to enter, and if you don't have the right credentials, you are booted out, man. You are. So I was supposed to stand in front, I don't even know what was behind me. I don't even know what the room was, but I was supposed to stand at the door of this room, something important, and not let people in who didn't have the right credentials. It took me about 2 minutes to go, well, I don't care. It's like, you want to go in? Go. Go ahead. So, pretty soon people knew I was the one to go to get in the room. Yeah, that job lasted about 5 minutes. And See, the thing is, here's the thing, is that all that was extremely important to my father, and I don't really know why. And it's really not fair of me to make fun of it, if I'm going to put it down, because it did have a level of importance to him that it just simply didn't have for me. And what that did to me was really set me on this journey of what kind of priest was I to be. To be true to who I am. What kind of priest am I to be? And what I found out was I wasn't going to be able to do that. That was not going to be where my priesthood was lived. I couldn't. Because I really do believe before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So I really do believe every single solitary one of us is of God. And that part of living our life is to discover how we do that as the individuals we are. This is the deal for me. Hope it's meaningful to you.